there are a few things that really immediately resonate with me, and that's the quite common combination of being empath, highly sensitive person, and having clinical depression, having quite sensitive soul, having lots of negative thoughts and being so sensitive to the world and spiraling, and at the same time being very well performing, being high functioning. So I don't think, this is just you. I can see this pattern repeating in so many people around. From your experience, could you kind of help us shine a little bit of light on why do you think that it happens quite commonly in our society today, in the people around us, that so many, especially empaths and highly sensitive people, end up struggling with depression, end up suffering with their mental health, probably more than anyone else. And yet, from the outskirts, when we look at possibly their career, their professional life, they will be highly productive, they will be successful, and we will not, on the first glance, be able to tell that they have so much struggle every day just to survive.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it's a lot to unpack. Yeah, but I think it starts very young. It starts when we're children, and we learn very quickly that society sees sensitivity as a weakness and that it's not okay. It's not okay to feel all of these feelings so deeply. And, it starts with our parents telling us, to stop crying and that kind of thing. Or later on in life, people saying, "Oh gosh, you're so sensitive," and we don't want to be that way, right? So we hide and we learn to perform and mask at a very, very, very young age. And we learn to muster the energy, right? We learn to muster and to perform and to just be who people need us to be, right? And so we do, right? And on top of that, we have all of the conditioning that comes in society of saying, okay, this is what success looks like. Like you get a good job, you get married, you get a house. Like this is what you do. And we don't all fit in those boxes, but we continue to perform and perform and perform. And for me, my depression was actually a very wise response. And it was saying, don't you dare, don't you dare take one more step down this path. Right. It was pumping the brakes. And it just took me that long to listen. Right. It took me that long to realize that I have strayed so far from my true self that my system is literally shutting everything down. And so I tried to power through. I tried to fight it. I tried to force it. I tried to be tough, which is really ridiculous if you know me, right? Because I'm not at all. I'm super duper duper sensitive. But I found that the trick, which is kind of like not intuitive, is to actually embrace sensitivity. And when I started to embrace my sensitivity and step into who I actually truly am and realize that there's no other way that I can be that is good for me, so I better learn how to take care of my actual self, who I am, everything changed and I was no longer impacted by being a sensitive person. So I learned to love it. And then it didn't matter if people were like, "Oh, you're too sensitive." I'm like, "Yeah, I am sensitive. Thank you."
It's incredible how much masking can take a toll on our health and well-being and our self-image, and what coping mechanisms then will come from the woodwork, from our inner self, to kind of push us to, as you said, break free through the labels and the stigmas. And for girls it might not be even as hard to be labeled as sensitive than if we look at, for example, our male counterparts. For them to be empath, for them to be sensitive, for them to be a gentle soul who feels and who cries and who, empathizes with people and showing those emotions, that can be really hard in our society, where we still have this alpha male toxic masculinity, really rah strong aggressive perception of what a real man is, and real boys don't cry. So I think it's very interesting when you said that, the moment you learned to embrace and love yourself and accept yourself and fully show yourself, you learned that the depression was almost like a tool that you've used as a masking process to not show this side of you. That's an
Mhm.
interesting perspective on it. And if we can stay a little longer on your journey and healing from depression, I love that you mentioned that you went on psilocybin, because that seems to be a newly rediscovered tool that even now the more traditional pharmacology and the Western medicine is learning to embrace a little bit more. And obviously it's been known for years, and influencers and big celebrities, even like Tim Ferriss, will talk so much about how much it helped them and how life changing it was. But I would love to know a little bit more about your experience, because for many people this can still be pretty much out there as, oh, it's drugs, it's altering the consciousness, it's not safe, it's experimental. There could be lots of negativity and labels around it, and yet more and more science is proving what, again, we know from ancient medicine, healing, ancient wisdom, that this is natural compounds that we're only now tapping into for healing purposes.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. So when I first decided to go on a psilocybin journey, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I did not know what to expect. I knew that I had had enough and I was done like managing my depression, and it was just time for a change. It was very, very, very crucial that I trusted my guide. Okay, so the woman who I did my journey with was somebody who I knew and I felt very safe with, and I knew that she would not let anything, kind of bad happen to me. So I think that is very, very, very important. I have had friends try to do this kind of healing journey on their own, and I really don't recommend that. Like taking a dose of psilocybin for fun is very, very, very different than taking a dose of psilocybin for healing, because the mushrooms work so well with intention. And so when we step into something like that, it's very important that we do it with reverence and with the understanding that the plant medicine is a tool to help us uplift and get out of these old stories. So it elevates us up out of it. And sometimes that touches on some very deep traumas that we need somebody there to help guide us through. So that's my role when I'm helping the people who come to me. But my own experience was I was terrified at first. And I remember the feeling of the psilocybin hitting me and thinking, I just want to dive in. How do I jump off this cliff? That was like literally the thoughts in my mind. How do I jump off this cliff? How do I dive deep down into my trauma? Because I want to get to the bottom of this. I want to get to the bottom of this. And it was actually pretty funny because I remember laying on the bed with the eye mask on, feeling the effects and having these thoughts. And then all of a sudden it felt like the ground came up and hit me in the face. And I was like, oh, I don't have to jump off the cliff. The ground is going to come up and meet me. Right. And then the journey started, and my journey was it was extreme. It was 11 hours, which was very unusual. Most of the journeys that I guide people on are like 4 to 5, maybe 6 hours. So mine was a lot, and I appreciate my guide for that. I had a beautiful journey where the thing that I remember most was being able to explore the depth of emotion. So I experienced emotion as a color spectrum in my own personal journey. And I was able to traverse the spectrum and really go all the way up to the light part of the feelings and all the way down into the depths of the feelings. And I found that all of these emotions exist on a platform of love. So that love itself is not actually an emotion that humans experience, but it's the platform that all of the emotions exist on top of. And I'm not saying that that is the absolute truth. I'm saying that that's what I needed to know in order to heal from the depression. And so that's what the plant medicine, that was a big takeaway for me. And I came out of it realizing that I can feel sad without being depressed. And I can go all the way down at the depths of anger and the depths of grief and the depths of rejection and all of these things. And I'm safe and I'm okay. And it's actually this beautiful, juicy human feeling that I get to experience in this life. And that was, I think, the experience for me that broke the depression. Now, every single journey is different. That was my own experience, and I've never led one that's similar to mine. I've actually never led one that is similar to another.